welcome everybody. Today is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Women and girls continue to be excluded from participating in science. Women represent 33% of researchers in the world, and yet they typically get smaller grants compared to their counterparts, the men. Today, we have Monica Kapiriri with us to chat to us about her efforts in inspiring and engaging women and girls in science. Monica is a development consultant, a trainer, a mentor, a coach, and most of all, she is a partner and a good friend of the FSNet-Africa family. Monica, we are so honored to have you here, and we look forward to learning from you. Let's just start by just knowing a little bit about your career, and please highlight those things that you really like about your career.
Okay, thank you very much, Coletta. This is an opportunity to really share my life, and I'm praying that it will motivate some lady to become what she's supposed to be. My career in science, of course, started with my education. When I was doing high school, I got that my sciences was my best subject, although I also excelled in some other arts. So everybody expected me to do sciences. So I did sciences because I was expected to. And when I go to university, it's what my grade got me. So I entered university as I put agriculture. My father wanted me to do medicine. I hate medicine. I don't like sick people. So I put agriculture. And then when I go to the university, I had problems with a lecturer in agriculture. So I was crying in the corridor. The head of department of forestry found me crying and asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm crying." So he called me to his office, and that's how I ended up in forestry. Now, my career in science actually started after my MSc, because as I was doing research on non-timber forest products, so my supervisor forced me to go and do a course in participatory research, PRA, participatory rural appraisal. And for me, that course made my life. So when I got employed after my MSc, I was working with a consultancy firm, and my role was to design and deliver training in participatory approaches to organizations working with natural resource management. So I started, and now what I'll say as the thing that has really made me is whatever I do it with all my heart. And so people see it and they invite me. When I finished CDRN, I was headhunted to become a social forester for the Forest Secretariat. So I was part of that team for LTS International. They're based in UK, that designed the Forestry Authority, the forestry program, and the forestry policy that started now what we have at the Forest Authority. And then I was again headhunted by Aga Khan Foundation. And so what I'm saying is, because I try to put my best foot forward ever, someone sees it and invites me. So in award, again, I was nominated or promoted by somebody who saw me volunteering somewhere else. So my career in science has had ups and downs, but it's been exciting because you realize that someone sees what you do and it adds value. If you have other questions, I wanted to summarize it. That is my path. It happened, and then I started taking charge when I realized I had to.
That is so inspiring, and I'm taking note of that. Do everything that you do with passion, and then people will notice. And I am sure you really like what you do. That's a takeaway from you. So what do you think are the main barriers for women and girls? What do they face when they're trying to pursue their careers in science? You talked a little bit about when you didn't want to do it and you were crying. Is there anything that you saw in your experience or that you see now that is a barrier for women pursuing a career in science?
I'm sure someone else will have so many reasons, but I have 4. And the first one is socialization. Socialization is how society has conditioned us to see the world and engage with it. So even when you're growing up, and it starts at home, you tell the little girls, girls should not be heard, but they should be seen and not heard. Or boys don't cry. You are a boy, go, try it, expand yourself, don't limit your, no, you are a girl, you have to listen, so we are socialized to be supportive. We are socialized not to drive yourself, So if you go out there and you are a woman, what are you struggling for? Are you trying to prove yourself? Are you competing with men? So that socialization draws us back. Then the second one that is linked to socialization is the work-family life balance. What happens to most girls? When you finish your first degree, you find this handsome guy, you get married, and you start giving birth. Yeah. Now, as a mother, you don't want to be away from your baby. So what do we do? Until those babies are old enough to look after themselves, you play it safe, stay in the same position. You don't want to go too far away from your babies. So what happens by the time your last baby is old enough to look after themselves, you are in your late 30s or 40s, the opportunities for scholarships are limited. Your peers, the people you're working with, are boys that could be your sons. Your boss, for goodness sake, is younger than you. And so you don't think of now, what do I do? Most women don't go back to pursue their careers after that. So in our ward, we actually did a study, and we have what we call the leaky pipe. Where do women scientists leak out from, going up to be leaders in science? It's because we stagnate somewhere. Yeah, so that's the second. The third one is negative self-talk. When you're 40, your firstborn is entering university. You're like, now do I go back to school? No, let me stay here. I'm old. Now, what am I even struggling for? I have only 20 years to retire. Let them be 20 years of worth. Yeah? So that negative self-talk, we talk ourselves out of opportunities. Then the last one is the lack of a compelling, beckoning development dream for yourself. What do you really want out of life? Yeah. So if you have that dream, you could say, yes, I'm going to raise my children up to when I'm 40. Then I'll go back and get that PhD. I'll go back and do this. What do you want out of life? So your children should be part of that dream. Your children should not be a mistake that happens when you're loving your husband. Yeah. So that dream is what would drive you to continue and do something.
Wow, interesting. And I see there's a lot of responsibility on myself. And I think some of the things you have already put them in there on what we can do. How do you think we can overcome these barriers? I know you've touched on it, but did you have, I like your points, you're coming up with 4 points, and can we go back to that question and just be specific on what we can do? I see most of the things you said. I need to change my negative talk. I need to have a dream for myself. I need to have a plan, and I need to do that balance. But a few more pointers on how do you think we can overcome these barriers as women?
Okay, actually, I have 3 points, but one is the one that you probably are more responsible for yourself. The first one, talk about it. Find other women, even men, and talk about it. Talk about these things that you're seeing. Talk about the challenges you are having at work. Do you know what men do? After work, they go to clubs. What are they doing in clubs? They are talking about their issues. Women, when we finish work, you rush back home to your babies.
To cook, Monica.
So find, plan, and talk about what you're going through. Someone has an answer. Then the second one is what this program is doing. Find a mentor. The program is doing a formal mentoring, but you yourself can look for someone who's successful in the area you want to go and try to piggyback on them, piggyback on their successes. The third one is get a coach. I have a problem of writing proposals. This guy is very good at writing proposals. Go and say, can you please help me? How do I write this proposal? Get coaches along the way. So for me, those are my three. So that means you have to develop your effective relationships so that you find a mentor, you find a coach. You find someone and say, can you be my mentor? I really need to do this and this. So you need to be proactive.
Thank you, Monica. I will definitely look into those pointers. They are very helpful. What drivers and opportunities exist for women and girls to pursue scientific careers? What are the opportunities that are there?
Okay, opportunities are enormous. The UN, national governments, everybody is saying, you know, there should be gender balance. There should be a balance between men and women. So the demand is very high. You can't go wrong. One of the things I loved being a forester is in a class of 50, there were always 2 women or 3. It is highly gendered. It's a gendered course. It's a gendered profession. So if you are few women, you got on top very fast. Because everybody wants to see women. All those committees I told you, I didn't tell you I was the chairman of the NGO committee of the CGR. And I was the vice chair of GIFA. And it's because I was the only African and only woman in that group. So that the positions opened for you. So I did a search and I found this paper by the World Bank. And it talks about gender and choices of business. So they did a study on 97 people from 97 countries who were using Facebook. And so they found out that male-dominated careers or businesses, like fisheries, manufacturing, woodwork, I looked at those that would be relevant for science, forestry, those were dominated by men. The women, it was health, human health activities, foods and beverages, in services and production. Now, they also found out something very interesting, that the female-owned businesses in male-dominated sectors made significantly high income than women who were working in women-dominated sectors. Go for where women are few. Don't go where it's easy. So the opportunities are there, the positions are there, but everybody is looking, where are the women? There's a university in Nigeria called FUNAB. They want to promote women. They have women deans, women deputy vice chancellors. And so they were asked, why then don't you have gender balance at all levels? They said the pool is empty. That means the women that qualify to fit those positions are few. So the jobs are there. You don't even have an excuse. Go for the male-dominated positions.
Okay, I feel compelled, Monica. I feel compelled. What advice would you give young girls who's interested in pursuing a career in science?
Okay, I thought of 3. Actually 5. 1, for whatever career you want, even if you are at the beginning, at the end of where you begin, think about where you want to go. So if I start in academia, you enter as maybe lecturer 1. Where do you want to stop? You want to become the director of that program. You want to become the dean of that program. Look ahead. Then ask yourself, what are the qualifiers? What do they look for me to come from lecturer 1 to lecturer 2, lecturer 3, or professor? And don't wait. Begin to qualify yourself for your promotions. If they want papers, begin to write papers. If they want fundraising, make sure you study on how to write proposals and start fundraising. Yeah. So look for the next necessary qualifiers and begin to build your files on that. Okay. Then the second one is remember that most sciences are heavily gendered. If you want to go for engineering, it's predominantly a male job. If you want to go for food sciences, you know it's predominantly a feminine job. So when you go for that career, start from the beginning which gender mindset you're going to have, because they are not going to bend for you. You're going to be swimming against the tide. Like as a forester, don't say, oh, I'm a woman, I don't drive a tractor. No, just know I'm going for this course, I have to drive a tractor. No, I'm going to climb a tree and cut off its branches. So for whatever career, if it's gendered, just go with that gender mindset. Then the other one is have the supportive skills. Yeah. Like I told you, I went in forestry, they didn't train PRA, but I thank God for my supervisor. He knew I needed that supportive skill, so he took me for that course. Take short courses, invest in yourself to make sure that you're swimming against the tide, you're well equipped. Then thirdly, invest in building networks. Like I told you about men in clubs, build a network around yourself of people that will help you move forward. And lastly, build up a beneficiaries collection. People who have benefited from you. So even when you're beginning, ask yourself, how can I use my skills to help other people? Is there a staff who's struggling? Can I help them? Because those are the people that are going to recommend you. Those are the people when they're saying, oh, should we nominate this as a dean? Yes, 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 yes. That girl has to be, that woman needs to be a dean. So invest in other people. And by investing in other people, you're actually using your skills and you're building yourself up. So those are my 5.
Very interesting. Do you have any last words of wisdom to me, any early career female researcher who wants to go in science? Any advice?
Okay, I thought of 3, and the first one I already talked about it. Whatever you find to do, give it your best. Do it diligently and work with all your might. Even when it's a task that is voluntary, you don't know who's watching you. It's an opportunity for you to put another mark on your CV or someone who will talk for you. Then secondly, I talked about a personal development goal. Don't let life happen to you. Make it happen. Don't just sit there and let things happen to you. No, be proactive about your life. Have a development dream and make a plan for it and work it. Then lastly, don't allow yourself to go stale. Don't allow yourself to go stale. Learning never ends. Invest in learning. Read a book every week. Go for courses that will add value to your life. Don't make your life go stale. Don't let it happen. Those are my 3 last points.
Thank you so much, Monica. I can feel the passion, and you have inspired us. And certainly myself, I feel challenged, and I really feel that coaching, I was already in that mode where I was feeling compelled to do stuff. And thank you very much for inspiring us. Please continue to inspire women and girls in science, because it is because of people like you with the passion and willing to share it with us that we get to where we want to get. Thank you so much, Monica.
You're welcome. Thank you.